development.
There is that, but that's actually in the core, isn't it? Well,
No, it's within the Highland. It's also within the Miller subcorridor as well. We think there's tremendous opportunity there. Hancock Center has always been kind of eyed as potential for additional growth.
So you're talking about potential development more than you are current development.
Well, Highland will be a significant development. I think we can all agree on that. And that development is, geographically very large, and it will generate a lot of trips. And that is a huge anchor for the Highland subcorridor.
And it's dense development as well. That's one of the things that we've been able to observe from the projections we've been using.
But that goes to one of those core arguments we've heard is why put a line somewhere where there may be denser development instead of putting a line where the densest ridership is right now?
That's actually East Riverside. East Riverside has current and future density that will outpace Lamar. It already has, similarly high existing transit ridership. All the factors are there with East Riverside, and I think a lot of times the single-minded focus by some on Lamar has been at the expense of looking at the rest of the Central Corridor. And that was something that we heard as our initial focus on other parts of the Central Corridor were maybe too limited. So we took a step back, and we would invite others to look at the data the same way that we did. Our evaluation tool, basically the same matrix that we use to come to our recommendation, is available currently online for people to use and to play with. And they have been since Monday, and even, since Monday of this week. So we think that when you look at all of the data, that there's a very compelling and overwhelming case for East Riverside in particular, and especially for Highland.
The public input as shown on page 8 here was definitely Miller and Lamar, though.
Those were, we had 3 public workshops. We also had an online webinar, and we continue to collect public input from the public. But those 3 workshops were snapshots. We had, I think, between the 3 of them, somewhere on the order of 120 maybe participants. So, we took some polls, and we wanted to see where preferences are. We wanted to see, we did befores and afters surveys to see if, when we presented preliminary results, if that helped tip the scales at all. But it was a very quick effort. It's just a snapshot. So we think that the community, as they have a chance to digest our presentation and our information and our evaluation and work with this online tool, that they'll have the opportunity maybe to come to different conclusions than what they might have now.
What exactly
I can also speak, I'm sorry, just to the numbers of meetings with any numbers of neighborhood association, business groups, in addition to the publicly conducted workshops. And Kyle, you were there for that. You may want to comment on that.
Right. Well, we have had probably, I would estimate, probably about 100 meetings with a lot of neighborhood organizations throughout the entire area, in addition to the workshops that Scott was referencing. And we've certainly taken the temperature of the community, and certainly everyone would like to get an investment like this. Our purpose has been to have that objective evaluation of looking at the information, not only existing information, but look at the projected information and where Austin is growing. And Austin today is very different than it was 30 years ago, and 30 years from now it's going to be very different. So we've been doing our best guess to be able to look at that information to, again, determine what that best is. We understand there's a lot of folks out there that are very passionate about and very supportive of their own areas, and we respect that. And I've really enjoyed engaging with them, and I look to them as people that will keep us honest in our investigation. But I do want to reiterate that we've taken that step back from an objective purpose. It's not a popularity contest for us. We've actually applied our professional reasoning, using the data that is out there and looking at the trends that we see happening here. And we'll offer this as our initial recommendation. We'll have a very robust discussion with the community, as well as with our advisory group beginning this afternoon. And I anticipate that we'll have 3 or 4 weeks of very good debate. But we felt that this is giving everybody at least a benchmark for which they can take a look at the information, as Scott suggests. We've made that information available. And rather than just saying, I'd like it to go up one street or another, let's take a look at what is the best street that we feel or the best corridor, best direction that we would be able to make that next investment in.
So does the city council get to weigh in on this, or is this just a recommendation? What does this have to do with the council? Because I saw previous information from Project Connect that said it was coming to the council for consideration, and now I don't understand if that's still the case.
Well, we've been briefing the council along the way. In fact, we have a workshop or briefing with them next week. We have always anticipated that we would brief them in December once the CCAG has identified their recommendation for moving forward. The one message that the mayor has been very strong in saying is that the work of the CCAG is not complete until we come up with the project next June. And clearly, at that point in time, when we have a project that would be eligible for placement on the ballot, the council will be weighing in at that point in time.
As well as Capital Metro's board and
That's
Lone Star Rail District's
to a
board,
good point.
the Project Connect partners.
So the council will, the council has the final authority to place it on the ballot, essentially, and so you're saying that will occur, but probably not until it's placed on the ballot in next summer?
Right. The reason the CCAG was formed was to be able to do that deep dive of the information. And the council has been kept apprised, and a couple of their committees as well have kept apprised, but they haven't done that deep dive on the information. And so we look to the advisory group of being representative of, includes representatives from the council, as well as from Capital Metro and others, and Lone Star, as well as the business public, to be that group that is really making that initial decision about which direction do we head next.
Because, I mean, you're going to get very specific about these. And so by June, if the council went, you know, we really liked Lamar and Miller. I mean, so presumably, are you going to get their consensus before you start getting very specific about these things?
Well, the plan is to brief them, bring them along with that. If there are issues, the one thing I can't do is predict the future, but we certainly will take it to the council. We'll take it to the Capital Metro board. We'll get their input, and they will certainly be able to let us know what they think. But we believe that we'll get their consent to move forward.